Welcome everybody to CPL Season 5. Today we're going to be going over all of the teams for the 16 coaches that drafted this season. Joining me today is Breadpuddingoffical. Go ahead and say hi.
Hi.
And our guest commentator, Patmac. Alright, so the way this league works is it's item clause. You get up to 2 Terra Captains as long as the point value does not exceed 220. The highest tier is 180 and it goes all the way down to 40, so tier 1 through tier 5. The coaches will get a tier 1, a tier 2, 2 tier 3s, a tier 4 and a tier 5, and then they get 400 points for 4 free picks. They can't go over, but they can go under. What else was there? Oh, we decided to ban Fluttermane, ban Last Respects, but as a trial run, we allowed Shedtail and Revival Blessing. But I need to edit the rule on there. We cannot run Lepaberry, but you can click it once. That's it. But without further ado, you ready to see some teams, Patmac?
Hell yeah.
All right. So, let me So, the coaches we have, first overall pick, we had Bainey 205, coach of the Bala Squad. That's what we have on the dock, but he's going to stick to the Bloodline because he's a huge WWE fan. This is his team. His Terra Captains are Gudra and Talonflame. Let you have a moment to absorb this, and what do you like about it?
I guess I'll go and start.
Go ahead.
The team is kind of cool because it's really fast. There's like some good offensive threats that are really quick, using like in Rock Fest and Iron Valiant, which is really nice, along with like Incursion to support the Valiant, so you don't always have to run booster energy and get some extra speed or some extra damage. And then you said Revival Blessing's legal, right?
Yes, but I gotta edit the rule. You can't run Lepaberry, so you can't spam it twice. Don't want to get it too out of hand. But doing it once is fine.
Yeah, so like Rapsa is kind of cool too. Like you can bring some of these threats back. One of the things that's happening in TGR is there's a team that has Wochien and Palmont on it, and they're using the Revival Blessing on their tank more often than their damage threat. And like sometimes that makes so much sense because like the opposing team uses their Pokemon to like deal with your tank, and then after you bring your tank back, they don't have anything else to beat it. So that's kind of a really neat option that this team has. But it has they have like massive gaps in their speed. I mean, they have some really fast mons, but they also have some pretty big gaps here. They have some super slow mons. So maybe Trick Room is going to be an option that this team's going to run, which would be kind of cool.
I believe the only Trick Room setters on this team are the Rapska and the Iron Valiant. Fortunately, it's Gen 9, and Palisand still does not have Trick Room. Which is kind of What do you think, Brad?
Oh yeah. So obviously this being the first overall pick, I think Valiant is very justifiable. There's some other mons that could have got picked, like Iron Bundle. There was Roaring Moon. There was Chi-Pao. But I think Iron Valiant is pretty justifiable for pick 1. Something I'm a little bit confused about, but not too confused about, is Wochien going pick 2. Because I know one thing that is really that's not great about Gen 9 drafts right now is getting like the earlier ends of the picks, like getting like pick 1 for like pick 5 is not amazing because there's not going to be many threats that are going to come back to you, and I think it definitely does show him his team. I think the only thing I'm like extremely scared of about this team, like the only like major threat on this team is like Iron Valiant, but like if you like go on like pick 16, there's gonna be a lot more like there's gonna be more apparent like threats. So I think overall this team is really cool with like Iron Valiant and stuff like Talonflame as an offensive threats and stuff like Gudra Lycanroc. But I think one thing that is gonna be very, very troublesome for this team is rules that are with a timer is, let's say that like Fanny is facing another person and then he beats the person like 6-5. It's only gonna be a +1 differential because 6 minus 5 equals 1. So I think if Fanny wins by timer sometimes, it's not gonna be good for like the rest of the season because differential is gonna be extremely important in this league.
It is indeed.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. And that's a good point too, is that like having an early pick means that just some good things don't get back to you. I also kind of feel like they might have dipped fairly low in their points early on, because I'm assuming that this is in pick order from left to right.
Yeah, it's pick order.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they probably saved up quite a bit of points, because like Gudra and Lycanroc are kind of like mid to high-ish tier picks most of the time. So it looks like they dipped pretty early in points and then went kind of back up.
Yeah, they did a tier 1, a tier 2, a tier 3, and then their other tier 3, and then they dipped all the way down to 5, tier 4, with 3 points. Yeah, they went up and down throughout the thing, and then they ended with Gudra and Lycanroc Dust, which were tier 2.
Yeah. And that's actually kind of a downside now that I'm looking at this team a little bit more too, is that like ideally you'd want to have some pivots that can get Iron Valiant in, just because that Mon doesn't have great defenses to come in on its own. And it's not like there's a Witch Passer to like help support that one coming in. So this team kind of relies on either getting some damage with its walls to chip stuff down, and then letting Iron Valiant come in to clean, or like allowing something to go down. And then the only way that Valiant comes in is kind of to revenge kill, which could definitely be a problem.
I believe he only has momentum with... Does Pincurchin get Volt Switch?
No, it does. I think it has Memento, so you could kind of pull something like that, but...
Well, if that's the case, he's got 3 Memento Mons going into Iron Valiant, because Rabska gets it as well.
Is it really? Oh my god. That might be a good one for this team to win.
The fun thing is, Rabska is the only Mon this gen currently that gets Cosmic Power. But as far as...
thing, but it's more likely that Iron Valiant with like a Memento user into that one being like booster energy for speed and like Swords Dance or Calm Mind or something like that, and that being how this team wins out is some kind of sweeping Memento set.
I feel like Iron Valiant's gonna come in at the end and just break. He'll probably rely on Trick Room Core, break things down, and then have Valiant at the end to just momentum sweep.
Yeah, I can see that.
Then he also has a final out if he boots Talonflame to what is switching into a Terra Brave Bird.
I don't know, there's probably some Pokemon that could do it. Like rock types or something.
Yeah, there's probably good rock type.
Yeah.
Something I would like to mention extremely quickly is that this is the only team that does not have a steel type, which I don't think steel types are extremely necessary in this gen, but like when every other team has a steel type, it kind of puts you at a very slight disadvantage.
That's a good point. Steel Gudra might be kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm anticipating Banny to bring Steel Gudra a decent amount. Like, we'll see.
He has no way of blocking Toxic unless he uses Toxapex. And most of the mons that still get it get coverage to deal with Toxapex. Yeah, this is just gonna be constant regen, switch out, use. I'm curious to see how this performs though. I really am.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say this. This is the best team I've seen so far.
Well, we have an interesting one coming up.
Yeah, he's got that going for him.
Is your, by chance, is the anime waifu around?
They're busy.
Aw. Because she would have really loved this next team, and I would have loved to have a cuteness, scale for it. Let's get into my wife's team. Brett had quite a bit of a conversation of how did this happen? Let this sink in for a second.
Oh my god, there's so many EV.
I'd like to say something about that really quickly. And I want Shelby to prove me wrong so much because, in my opinion, I think evolutions are extremely linear, and I'm not sure how well this team is going to do with 4 evolutions. I think there's potential. I think having Vaporeon and Sylveon is not a bad thing, just because Vaporeon could use Wish and make Sylveon more often role that usually Sylveon would not be able to go into. And Chiyu is obviously just an amazing first pick, along with Dragonite.
Yeah, Dragonite taking. That's round 2, right? So making it all the way back to 1 is pretty cool.
Yeah. I want to point out that there are 11, maybe 12 Wish users in the game, and she's got 4 of them.
Yeah. So, okay. One thing I think that I would change for this, and I don't know if Shelby would agree with me or not, but I kind of would like to see the Terra captains change for this team. It looks like it's Sylveon plus Ditto. I would actually really like to see Ditto change from a Terra captain into Flareon, because I think Flareon got a huge buff this gen with being able to Terra, and now you can run Claymore with Guts and not and actually have a trigger because it's not a fire type anymore. So I know Guts with normal type for Facade boost would be really strong, or maybe grass type it with Trailblaze. But I think that's something that I would like to see change on this team. I think that would make it a lot stronger.
She did Ditto out of curiosity because Ditto can designate its own Terra. It doesn't become the Terra of what it copies. So she could have a defensive Terra preset on the Ditto to be able to counter an opposing setup sweeper.
Yeah, I guess that's definitely an option. But I would rather just instead of relying on what my opponent brings, just have something that is good on its own. Which I think Flareon would be very good as own, especially with getting Trailblaze to speed boost and getting the Guts damage boost. I think it'd be really cool.
Well, she's still got she can technically still change it. They have until 2.5 hours from now.
They have 2.5 hours. Or another change I think might be interesting, but probably not amazing. Flareon's probably better than this, but a potential might be Orthworm. Terra Poison Orthworm does look pretty good on this, considering that there's no poison type.
Oh, that's interesting. I guess it still technically counts as being grounded, doesn't it? So it reabsorb 2 spikes.
You want to tell him the funny thing, Brad? So he sent me a chart. It goes 0 for what the type you don't have. She's got 7 types that she didn't draft, but she has 2 fire types. But this team's only weakness in red is rock.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Do they have hazard removal? I don't know if they do.
You have 0 hazard removal.
Okay.
Yeah. Dragonite doesn't get defog until home.
If it even gets it then. Who knows?
And that's one thing that this team might really struggle because considering Iron Claws, there could only be 1 boot user. And most of the time she wants to be like an offensive like life orb set, even a choice guard or choice spec set, but like heavy duty boots Chiyu is still really good at Nasty Plot, but like only Dragonite, only one Chiyu or Dragonite can only run heavy duty boots.
That's true.
Yeah. She drafted with fun in mind, so I wasn't expecting it.
Oh,
be
this team
completely-
does have fun. Like all the evolutions.
Yeah, it looks really fun.
Yeah. I think it'd be hectic cool.
She called this, I think she said the Content Express. People are just gonna be like, what? Why is there a Ditto? She said the Ditto is for the evolutions she didn't get to draft, just so technically she can turn into them at least once.
That sounds fantastic.
This looks like a meme team, but it's not meant to be a meme team.
The problem is, I can see her bringing the first 4, and then the other 2 EVs. Just that. Just be like all 4 of them, and then the Dragonite and the fish. But yeah, I also do agree that probably, like, Flareon or Leafeon could be good because in Sun, Dragon types will come in and want to answer Leafeon or bulky Steel type. Well, now you can be Terra Ground or Terra Ice. That Dragon type's not a switch-in anymore. But either way, one of those 2 would probably be better than the Ditto, but in this league they can use a transaction to reassign their Terra captains as well, as long as they're within budget. So if she doesn't like it, she can just change to one of the other EVs. And now we get into the next team. This is Gengar Heracross's team.
Oh, cool. I remember that coach.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
this
that
team is-
top
Guess who learned literally the second day of draft what Mortal Spin does?
Did they not know what the move was?
He didn't know it removes hazards. He thought it just poisoned them.
Alright, well, yeah, Glamour is fucking cool. And being able to, like, I mean, I know that, like, you don't necessarily have to run Glamour the same way in Draft League, but honestly, just being able to set up hazards on first turn with Glamora setting up T-Spikes and, like, spikes or rocks or something, and then just letting, like, Jianpao and Garchomp look to sweep immediately just looks so strong. And this team is capable of playing the long game too. Like Gogoat is pretty bulky, Garchomp can be pretty bulky, Umbreon of course. Like there's some good like bulky options on this team that they can play a long game if they need to. And they could look to like set up with something.
This is the 3rd season in a row he's gotten Caparaja. And he's been putting in work with it. He's been putting in work with it.
Oh, for sure. That Pokemon hits super hard. And, like, it's got enough HP that you can just invest in some of your other stats, so.
I'm honestly surprised he didn't make the Caparaja a Terra Captain. I'll be honest.
I mean, Espeon Terra Captain sounds kind of cool.
The fact that he can bounce back the hazards of people going for him, and like he only has the 1 removal with Glamora.
I guess that's true.
unfortunately,
Like,
go ahead. Are you alive, Fred?
I'm just watching my cast. But yeah, so looking at this team, the one thing I was really confused about at first was Chien Pao plus Umbreon. But like, the more I've been looking at it, the more it makes more sense to me, because Chien Pao is not really a really defensive dark, and dark types definitely do dominate this meta. So like, having an additional dark type to take less pressure off of Chien Pao to run stuff like Crunch is very, very good for this team. I also find Frost on this team really cool, because hazard stacking with spikes is a really valuable skill. Having a Pokemon just so hazard dominant, and just like this team is just really diverse in my opinion, and I've just here for like Chien Pao just to speak event. So I just think overall it's a really good team. Probably top 5 team for me.
Let's see. He's got 1, 2, 3 rockers, 2 spikers. He's got a lot of things with Beyond, and he's got one thing that can just Will-O-Wisp and cripple team, as well as T-Wave. But yeah, Garchomp in here is just gonna be absolute wall breaker. The one thing this team probably could have used is maybe Sticky Webs, but even then it won't matter because Espeon can bounce back those in certain matchups.
Yeah, I mean, the team also has a good web speed. They don't need necessarily webs. And their speed tiers, I think, are fairly good. I don't know what the middle looks like, because I don't remember the speeds for some of these ones. They have some really fast ones, actually.
Chien Pao is 215, Glamora's 150, Garchomp is 169, Espeon is 189, Rotom Fan is 161, same for Aquatoros, and Go-Goat surprisingly is like 145. And then you got 178 with Frostlass. Don't ask how I remembered all those.
That must be speeds like at full 50 then, because those aren't their base speeds.
Oh, that's their maxes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah,
I have some good mid speed. Like they have a couple base 80s, a couple things that are over 100, a couple things that are like a little bit slower too.
But he's got.
But overall, the team is fairly quick.
He's got 1, 2, 3, 4 special defensive tanks. He's got 1, 2, 3 defensive tanks. Garchomp can go either way. This is just gonna be bulky blitz offense, and really like it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, this is just a well-rounded team. I think this is the strongest one I've seen so far.
Oh yeah, Gengar really outdoes it. All right. And let's move on to the next one. This is Sergio Rules team.
This is an amazing team. I'm just gonna say it straight up. It's really Palafin plus Rain is really, really good. And like when I went from VGC, I've been playing a lot of VGC and Palafin, just trying to word it. It's like all you really want in a team is just Palafin and Rain. You do not want anything else besides just Palafin and Rain. You don't want Dreadnought, you don't want any Rain to be great. All you need is just Palafin and Rain. And I think like it's not so like Rain dependent that like it needs to bring Palafin every single week. Palafin can just like function on its own.
Oh yeah, and he has safe, reliable switches for the Palafin too. He doesn't always have to flip turn out if he does lead it. That's another good thing. Yeah, and he's got. Oh, his hazard removal is the Tachiguri. Unfortunately, Pelipper doesn't get defog. He's got let's see, 1, 2, 2. He's got pretty good ground immunities for the Tinkaton to be able to safely switch in. Protects the Gengar as well. He's even got Intimidate in the back with Krokorok, who can also run Moxie and be a little mini sweeper. I do like the Aura Veil core, especially with this team, because if Palafin's too bulky, you just can't kill it. And the fact that Gengar is a Terra Captain as well is amazing, because you can just make it flying and remove its weakness. And be able to nasty plot in front of people with its speed stat. And you can also agility with Gallade and become a weakness policy sweeper as well. I've seen a Gravy do that.
Yeah, this team looks super strong. I think probably one of the most impactful Pokemon that this team might have is Tinkaton. Because having a Steel Fairy type on this team, with the only weaknesses being ground and fire, like, I don't want to bring a ground and fire type against this team because they have Palafin and Rain. Like, that just seems absolutely terrible. Like, if you bring a fire type, Palafin's just going to switch in and get free damage. Ground type, similar situation. Like, there's like triple water on this team, so you just don't want to bring those Pokemon against this. So I think Tinkaton is just going to be hard to kill on this team, which is like, yeah, that part I think is really cool. So that's one of the things that I like about this team, is that that kind of synergy is here on this team, and it may or may not even be something that they considered when drafting, just because Tinkaton I think is a really good Pokemon in general. But their Terra Captains, like, this combination of Terra Captains is like amazing. I think this is the strongest Terra Captain combo that I've seen so far. Like, having, like, you just mentioned the flying Gengar option, which is awesome. And then Gallade, I think, is just so strong. But both these Pokemon can set up sweep with their types, and I think that's awesome. And one thing I will say about Palafin, though, is that it can sometimes feel very predictable because so often that people lead it or try to lead it early on and then switch it out later. So being able to play around and read Palafin can sometimes feel very simple. So it's just something that this coach needs to be watch out to be aware of. But I've been a fan of bulky Palafins that are running like sub and bulk up, and just like high HP and high speed up, because this Pokemon can take hits just naturally anyway, and some things like can't even break sub. So it might be something that they want to consider, and people just need to be aware of that against them, because that kind of Palafin set, like sub bulk up, drain punch, water move, is really hard to deal with.
Yeah, that set is really busted. But like, something about Palafin that people really underrate is like people really do underrate base Palafin, and I think that's one like weakness that like people, because I've seen people use Palafin a lot, and there's a specific coach in a BBR, I'm not gonna mention who is like lead Palafin and like tries saving like Palafin from the endgame all the time. I don't think that's how you play Palafin. The way that you want to play Palafin, if Palafin is extremely good in a matchup, on an aim for that Palafin sweep in the end. But otherwise, you want to like wait for a clean stop to get Palafin in, then just pivot it. And like even then, you could even swap in the Palafin into some mod, and it's just gonna take a hit. And then like you just swap it out afterwards. If Palafin is not that weak, and I think that's one thing that like people underrated about Palafin, I hope Sergio uses it well.
Yes,
Do Dunsparce get spikes?
No, it just gets
I think
rocks.
it's just rocks.
Okay, so he's got 3 Stealth Walkers and Toxic Spikes.
Yeah, I don't think there's a spike around this team.
But yeah, but the best thing I like about his captains is the addition of sharpness to Gallade is just beautiful. this thing still gets Sacred Sword, which is boosted by Sharpness, which is terrifying because it can just be Terra fighting and just mow things. And it also gets Psycho Cut to become pure Psychic. Slap a Scope Lens on it. Alright. 50-50 on if you're getting crits every turn. At double base power is absolutely insane.
Oh, I'm a huge Blade fan. I've practically played it in 2 of my weeks. Like, this thing is amazing. I'll continue to try and play this shit. It's so much fun.
Yeah, he kind of took it from me right before I was about to draft it. I know. It's just like, thanks. But without further ado, kind of just spoiled the next one. Oh. This is DD12345. Yeah. He pulled a spin. He has Terra Knuckle Stack. He has Steam Engine Colossal for spins, spikes, and rocks. He's got Klefki for screens. Unfortunately, it doesn't get defog. But he also has the bulky defensive core of flipping between Ting Lu, Slowbro, and Colossal is a lot fatter than people think it is. But he also has Lightning Rod to protect Slowbro. This team's gonna be annoying to deal with. But the fact that he can...
It has a lot of really strong defensive pieces and only a couple of offensive ones. Like Dragon Bolt and Heracross would be like the offensive threats on this. Raichu to a certain extent as well. But aside from that, this team is just built and it might be hard to beat them. This is Wi-Fi, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I have a feeling that a lot of these games are going to go to timer. Just because like they have so many good switch-ins to a variety of attacks. And there isn't really like a coverage move or two that hits everything, so it might be kind of tough to break down this team. And so I have a feeling that a lot of games are going to go to timer, just because like people are going to be struggling to try to figure out how to break through these walls.
Then he can just sit back there with Dragapult in the back, and then just come in and end everything with darts. Let the rest of the team do the work, and then he can carry with that. Like he has spikes, rocks, toxic spikes. He has, well, wish he had more than one hazard remover. But I'm kind of surprised that he didn't do Terra Heracross. That's been like causing havoc lately. Because you get the same thing with it gets Trailblazed now. So it can boost its speed and activate Guts. Which is incredibly annoying.
But Terra Jack will just way too good to pass up.
Oh yeah, I 100% agree. But
it's like Terra Heracross plus something like
he could have done Slowbro and Heracross probably. Okay, I kind of see why he did it. You there? You cut out a lot.
Oh, me? Yeah. You also cut out on my side. What's happening?
You started with Terra Heracross and then that cut out.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Terra Heracross seems good in Fury with wrong as Swirlbro, but at the same time, like the Dragapult right there that just wants to use Terra Blast Ghost all the time, I just don't know how you can really pass it up. Like Heracross seems good if you didn't have a Dragapult, but like when you have a Dragapult, it's really hard to pass it up.
And then there's matchups where you could see it in preview or when you're building. Terra Dragon, Bandit, Dragon Darts just auto 6-0s. Especially if they don't have Fairy type. And there's not
Also,
very
another
many.
thing hello?
You're there.
Okay, yeah, another thing I'd like to mention is it's gonna be a common trend with a lot of teams, but I feel like a lot of these teams just did not consider item clause. Like, if you like look at a bunch of these teams, Dragon wants to use Heavy Boost, Slowbro does, Raichu to an extent, who also wants to use it. But then there's also like Nako Stack and Sliggoo, which you're probably not gonna bring to a lot of games. But like, you really can't bring both to the same game, so that like it takes a lot off a lot of stress for your opponent, which is something you just do not want to do.
You have anything you want to add on this, Patmac?
No, I think I said most of. I think it's just going to be it's a very bulky team, so it's going to be difficult to try to break through. But I really like the Terra captains. I think they're really good. Like, I think Terra Dragon bulking or that Ghost Stack is good, and then Knuckle Stack being able to remove the rock typing just makes this like a super bulky Pokemon in Eviolite. And there's not very many Pokemon that have knockoff at the moment, so it's very likely you'll be able to keep Eviolite and then just all stuff, and definitely the self-cure. So I actually really like the Terra captains. I think they're great.
Alright. And with that, we move on to the next one. There's a method to my madness.
Yeah, I mean, like having several setup supers with Palma 35 plus is really strong. There's some couple of nice pivots on this team too. Like, I'm pretty sure that Palma has Volt Switch, so you have some nice utility there, and then there's a couple of U-turners on the team, which help to get into like Belly Drum, Azu, or Dragon Dance, Pack Scuffler. It's really nice that there's a good
I was weird
on this team with Defog Corviknight, or like the does Rebuki core change? I forget if it's only Cinderace.
No, it's only Cinderace.
Damn. Okay, at least you have Defog, right? So you can get rid of hazards, because there are several mons on this team that are Rocks weak, and if this is item clause, right, you only get one boost as an option.
I forgot to mention, trapping is legal in this league.
Oh, yeah, I assumed. Yeah, I think Dugtrio would be really cool. Like, you have the option to trap something. But I guess, like, you're trapping... What do you really need to trap on this team that the team can't really deal with?
An electric type for Azu.
I mean, you do have Volt Absorb for Palmon, so... And, like, Appleton is a quad resist to it, so... I think it's okay either way.
To,
it does add a decent speed tier to it, but...
True.
I got Dugtrio because not only does it trap, but I believe it got spikes this gen, has rocks, and it gained Sword Stance. So if Dugtrio gets Sword Stance, Raboot also gets Sword Stance this gen. Sableye gained T-Wave. Both screens, the only thing it didn't get was Parting Shot, but it also gained quite a bit more, like gained Icy Wind, gained Grass Knot. So it can take out the bulkier, heavier mons with Grass Knot. Like, it has an answer for like, say, Hippowdon now. It can just Grass Knot in front of it and just blow it back. What else was there? I grabbed Appleton because of the ability Ripen, and as well as Thick Fat. So I have two options for that to nerf all the fire damage going into Corviknight. And you have a quad resistant Appleton from the electric moves and an immunity. Let's see. I think overall on this entire team, I had like 11 different immunities of some sort. But the fun thing about why Palma is a Terra Captain is most people don't know this. If you use Double Shock, it removes your electric typing. If you Terra Electric, you regain that typing and you can just spam Double Shock. That is a base 120 physical electric move with no drawback as a Terra Captain.
Yeah, true. I think that is a very strong option.
And you also...
At first, I was...
And then Brad was saying earlier, Adamant Terra Fighting Mach Punch just one-hit KOs Iron Bundle. Which is insane, because that thing's fat. But this is just...
Not fat, but like, just killing a threat with like...
And I wanted to do Salazzle because normally, hey, it's a ×4 week to ground. Well, will make my opponent second guess on if they want to click that ground move. Because I could be grass, I could be flying, be completely immune, and now you have a nasty plot problem on your hand. Or you can even do the physical variant, because this does get knockoff. I believe I have knockoff on Salazzle, Sableye, and I believe Zangoose. I can't remember if it still gets it.
I checked.
Oh yeah, and Toxic Feed, I believe it is. Increases this thing's attack. No, it's Toxic Boost, I think. But
yeah, Toxic Boost.
But overall, like, granted, I would have liked to have another additional hazard removal. Overall, this team looks like it's going to be a lot of fun to use. And last season, I only had Talonflame as removal, and I never clicked Defog. And somehow I made it work. But, any other input?
Yeah, before we move on, something I'd like to mention, and I don't think it's the biggest deal, but one potential weakness I do see is if you look deeply at the team, there's only two, like, real mons that are, like, special attackers. Which, and, like, this team really does seem like hyper offensive, so I don't think it's the biggest deal ever. But, like, if, like, let's say something like a defensive, let's see a card let's make an example. Like, a defensive, like, let's say, I don't know, but like a very bulky defensive mon comes in this, and it just like walls his team, it's gonna have a little bit of trouble. But again, it's not the biggest deal ever, because like, if he breaks that defensive wall, I think the rest of just like offensive threat just like hammer for the rest of the team. That's all I gotta say. It's a really good team overall.
And then we have CJ Jensen, the Phoenix Incineroars. I saw this slide and I was like, husband and wife.
That's funny.
What this surprised me was he didn't do Roaring Moon like I thought he would, or Scizor. The heck, he has Toxicity as well. But he does these two, which is very interesting. And arguably, he has one of the best ground type hazard setters in the game. Wink, wink.
Quagsire?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got sniped. This mod is amazing. Quagsire just destroys everything. It's such a good wall. It's just better than Gastrodon. It's literally the best water in my opinion.
Quagsire went round 2 in SPC. In both divisions. I was like, are you serious? Quagsire was drafted before Scizor. In both drafts.
Wait, in this league?
No, I was talking about in another league for SPC. It's upload required, but Quagsire went before Scizor. Which is insanity. Another good thing about this team is it's got the same thing like Galarian Slowpoke had before the Isle of Armor. Eviolite still works on Ursaring and Primate. Well, on Ursaring in general. So he's going to have that natural bulk if he chooses to run that. But this is...
Yeah, the team has quite a bit of like offensive pressure, especially between like Roaring Moon, Scizor, Rouge, Toxtricity. Like those Pokemon can put a ton of pressure on a team. And there's a handful of startup threats, which is really nice. One thing that kind of sucks about Scizor for this gen is that because it doesn't have Roost anymore, it needs to play a more offensive role than it previously did. Whereas like before, you could have kind of a Roost Sword Stance bullet punch set or like pivot. Whereas now Scizor feels like it needs to be a little more offensive. But I don't think that's necessarily a problem for the team because it has a good amount of bulk anyway. Like I like the priority that it has, and then some really strong like special attacking breaking options between Rouge and Toxtricity, and then you add like Roaring Moon and Scizor onto that. So like there's a good mixture of like attacking presence here. Hits a bunch of different types. And then Flash Fire from Rouge to switch into Scizor attacks is really cool too. I like the team. I think it's got a lot of potential.
It's the first team so far that I could see suited for item clause.
Yeah, I can definitely see that too.
Yeah.
There's like double options for Eviolite, but I don't think that's such a big a deal because it's like competition in your low tiers, which like you're not likely to bring both of them to the same match anyway. So
Yeah.
you're really competing.
You're gonna be like leftovers on Quagsire, Boots on Serena, Scarf on Toxtricity, maybe Sash on Armor Rouge in case you're a weakness, the weak armor set. Life Orb on Scizor, and then you're gonna have Booster Energy on Roaring Moon.
Yeah, because on Ursaring, sometimes you want to run Flame Orb, so I don't think it's even that big of a deal. Because even before like Gen 9, of course, Flame Orb Ursaring is actually not that bad. Same at Primate.
It's like 165 speed after Quick Feet. Around there. Which still is not bad in this gen because of the different like speed average that it was compared to Sword and Shield. But yeah, really like this team. It's gonna be interesting to see how CJ uses it.
Wait, was that playing?
Yes. All right.
I was gonna listen to music, but I guess.
Moving on. And now we have one of our new coaches. This is his first time doing draft. His name's Baradu. And he actually originally had Trianitar and Houndstone with Last Respects banned, but he dropped them for King Gambit and Bellybolt.
No, he dropped something else for Belly. No, he dropped like around day for Belly Bolt, and he dropped Houndstone for Tauros Paldea Iron.
Okay, it was fire. Okay. Having the triple fire type though is what throws me off.
Yeah.
Like, what is your earthquake, Swishun? I know you have 3 birds, but well, he has Altaria, Flamigo, and Rotom, which are immune to ground. And I'm sitting here looking, I was like, does Altaria get Tailwind to set up Bramblegast? Probably.
I'm pretty sure it does, because I was looking at it in a BTC. I'm pretty sure it does. I was looking in TGR, and I'm pretty sure it does.
Like, he's got a lot of good hazard setters. Well, a couple. And its speed tiers are, like, super fast, and then they just dip. Like, drastically dip. But this is also one of those teams where I'm incredibly curious on what it's gonna do. Because of its Terra Captains.
Yeah, I actually think the speed tiers are fine. Like, I think they have like a really fast one player bundle. There's like a couple months around 100, and there's like 80 with 80-ish, 85 I think with Rotom Heat, and then there's I think King Gambit is around like 50.
Yeah, it's base 50.
It's around like 70. So like, yeah, I think the speed tiers are fine. This kind of feels like a team. I think you mentioned that they're new to drafting. I've noticed that with coaches and players that are new to drafting, they often then end up with like a multitude of the same type, which I think is definitely a problem. I think it's best to try to diversify your types a little bit, because it's rare that you're going to want to bring like all 3 of your fire types. It's more likely that you're going to want to bring one of those if the team is weak to fire. And it also just means you have a lot of similarities in terms of weaknesses. So like there ends up being a lot of rock weaknesses. There's several ground weaknesses. They've covered that a little bit with like a levitate and a couple of flyers, but the flyers are weak to rock. Fires are weak to rock. So they've got a lot more weak to rock on the team.
One thing I will say about this team though is like the Terra Captains kind of seem counterproductive a little bit. Like, I think it's a really, I think something like Sandy Shocks plus Tauros Paldea Fire could be a little bit better, but like, I'm not sure, because like Belly Bolt plus Sandy Shocks, they don't exactly do the same thing, but like they're both special electric types that want to stay electric type and just do all that. But like, I'm not sure. I would like to see the Terra Captains change just a little bit, but other than that, the team seems fun for a new draft, and I hope Beardo has some success with success in the season with his team.
Oh, for sure. I agree. It looks hella fun. Actually, what kind of piggyback on the Terra Captain idea? I think King Gambit is like an amazing Terra Captain. Like, I probably would have made that a Terra Captain along with some other Pokemon. I'm not quite sure how the points would have worked out, but
Probably Altaria.
yeah,
Because
King Gambit Altaria would have been pretty cool. Terra Captain combo.
But yeah, this team's gonna be interesting to see what it does. And I'm all for it. Alright, and now we've got Shadow Stitch. He dropped a few mons, and I believe he picked up Bronzong, Hydreigon, and what was the third one?
He picked up Hydreigon. He also picked up Oricorio.
Okay, yeah.
And I believe he dropped King Gambit, Charizard, and then he I forgot what was the other one. Dragalge. No, that was not Dragalge. It was
He dropped Dragalge for something. I think that's what he dropped for Oricorio. But in the long run, he
does get all 4 forms of Oricorio.
He perfectly balanced the team out too by doing these changes. Like, he has no major weaknesses on his type chart.
Yeah, I can see that. The top couple of picks are really nice too. Screamtail, I think, is a really interesting mod. I want to see how he decides to use it, because it seems like it's going to be either a really good setup mod, or it's going to end up being like a bulky pivot. And I'm kind of interested to see what people decide to use Screamtail as. And what they decide its niche is going to be.
What I've been seeing when I'm online or just battling a few people on another server is they're doing Wish Pass into Annihilate and taking the hit, healing back up. Now you got boosted Rage Fist, and they'll just keep Wish Passing into it and steadily stacking it. That's the main thing I've been seeing.
Yeah, that's actually a really good play.
And then they'll also run screens as well, and I've been seeing a lot more screens Bronzong. I've even seen a lot of screens Rotom Mo lately.
Yeah.
I do not want to deal with this
Yeah, I like that outfit.
Annihilate when it's Terra Water.
Yeah, having Annihilate as a Terra Captain is a really good option too. Like, oftentimes you want a defensive Terra this so that you can take more hits and get more Rage Fist boosts. And having that option to Wish Pass into it and just keep it healthy until it's able to just one-shot naturally. Like, it might not even need a bulk up or anything.
And
And
then
then just do tons of damage.
you make it Terra Water. Now I can hit the ground types that normally would struggle against, which is absolutely insane.
I mean, you always have Rage Fist, right? Like, you're just gonna hit ground moves anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
And I was confused about not tearing Hydreigon at first, but like, I kind of like seen throughout, like, it's only really bad. Terra Hydreigon's only that good in VGC. I've seen some people like leagues like BBR using stuff like Hydreigon and it just haven't had that much success of Terra Hydreigon. So like, I think Annihilate is just a way better Terra Captain in theory, but like, Hydreigon would not be bad also.
Yeah, I agree. I think if Hydreigon had Roost still, then I think it would be a much better Terra Captain.
Yeah.
He's got 1, 2, 3 rockers. I'm not sure if Screamtail gets any hazards.
It rocks.
Gets rocks, so he's got 4 rockers, a Weber.
But he has 5. Because Annihilate plus Hydreigon plus Screamtail plus Bronzong plus Hippopotas.
Hold on, Annihilate gets rocks?
Yes, it does.
The fuck? Why?
Patmac gets rocks.
Why? I get it's a monkey that's throwing rocks, but why?
It's a monkey that throws rocks. Clearly,
Yeah, exactly.
Or something.
I mean, it kind of looks like it's been in jail for a period of time and it has spent a lot of hours breaking rocks, but that's probably why it's pissed off, but... Well, you learn something new every day.
I think overall, this team is really cool though. I think it's gonna have a lot of success. I don't really see any weak link with this team. I think everything, it pulls its weight. Even Oricorio, even though Shadow has an electric, a psychic, a fire, and a... Is he the ghost? Oh, he has Annihilate. This puts a lot of like weight off of like things like Houndoom and Rotom that don't want to come to every single game. So like Choreo could come in and just kind of just like be a fast E-Fogger that could also U-turn and Revelation Dance. So I think overall this team is pretty cool, and I think Shadow Stitch has a lot of the tools to go very far this season.
Where's his poison type?
He doesn't have a poison type, I'm pretty sure.
That's my point. Like, I get you have the stuff off the ground, like 3 of them, and then the natural one with Oricorio being your defogger, but having to have the bird remove your hazards when you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things that could fell victim to toxic spikes is not exactly good.
Yeah.
But he'll probably make it work.
Yeah.
Not very often people have the opening to do T-Spikes unless they're running Guillemara anyways.
And this meta is just extremely hyper offensive, so like I don't think T-Spikes are even going to be that much of an issue in this meta. I think in Gen 8 they're much more of an issue because obviously their Gen 8 meta was pretty fast, but like Gen 9 meta, it doesn't really matter because like most games are going to be done in like under like 15 turns because timer won't allow it. But like I think T-Spikes could pose a threat for something like Dondozo, but like I don't think they're going to end up being that impactful in the meta.
Yeah, that's true. I don't like the hippo's staring at me. Moving on.
This team is scary. I hate this team.
This is Alice the Fairthorn's team. She dropped Chansey for Iron Hands and Grace because she had 80 leftover points. She's got Prankster, Sunny Day, and Grafai, as well as Toxic, Knockoff, Toxic Spikes, Rain Dance, Parting Shot, Swords Dance. Yeah, that thing can just hit on its own. This also gets U-turn to pivot out, so a Dark type can't even block it. You can just use it as momentum. Storm Drain with Luminion to help out the Arcanine. You got Flash Fire to help out the Galdongo. Iron Hand is fatter than you think, can take more than one Earthquake, unless it's like incredibly offensive ground type, which is insane because it can just one-shot back if it's banded with Ice Punch. Mousehold with Tidy Up and Population Bomb is going to be annoying. And Gardevoir being able to just do whatever it wants freely and has access to Healing Wish. Hey! Galdonzo or the mouse are back at full health. What now? Oh, and she's even got an Unburden.
This team is cool. Oh yeah. But I think this team is cool. In my opinion, I think Shelgon is a cool mon, but on this team I feel like everything pulls its weight except that Shelgon. Kind of a little bit confused about Shelgon, and I feel like Shelgon could have waited probably until round 10, and round 5 is just a little bit too early for it. But like, it's a bulky dragon, I guess that's what it has going for it, but like it doesn't have much more. But overall, I think Gholdengo is a very solid round 1 pick, considering that like she definitely did get a later pick of a draft, and something that Gholdengo really does struggle against is hazard stacking. So like having Mousehold for Tidy Up is really cool. Iron Hands, I like it. I like this mod a lot. Just a bulky assault vest just hits really hard, and I feel like just like the underrated like Grafai plus Galvalion core at the end. I don't think it's gonna come every single week, but like it's kind of like Snow in a way that like it's not meant to come every single week, but like it's just meant to like friend your opponent. And I think overall it's a pretty solid team, but I maybe consider like trading that Shogun if there's like a better mon, maybe like a fracture, like maybe like a fracture in like tier 5 that could probably be better than Shogun. Because I just kind of anticipate Shogun just kind of sit there without toxic or anything.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. The team does have some nice options though. There's some awesome setup bits between Botango and Iron Hands. Dropping Chansey for Iron Hands was probably the best move this team has been though. This team would have been so much worse if it had Iron Hands.
Especially since it doesn't get Heal Bell until home. The parent doesn't currently exist in the game.
Yeah. I mean, having Iron Hands doesn't just make this team really strong and pretty scary. Like you have to be able to deal with Iron Hands from a physical side and deal with Botango from a special side, and that's just not always easy to do.
Oh no, it's not.
But they have some okay momentum stuff as well, which is good. Actually, not too much though, right? Isn't it just Grafai and... Is that it? It might be it.
Technically, there's Healing Wish and Memento on Gardevoir. There's also Memento on Driftbloom.
Minion gets U-turn.
Oh, does it? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not very familiar with that one. So they got a little bit of momentum. Yeah, and being able to parting shot something to get into your Iron Hands or get into your Botango that they can set up like a nasty parting belly run.
Just being able to slow parting shot, or actually no, it's going to be fast regardless, to go into mouse hold, and now it can take that hit better to get a tidy up off, is just ridiculous.
Yeah, that's totally true. That's a good point.
That, and it's
I
like,
just want to point out if this was a VGC team, this team would go crazy.
yes it would. This would be insane. It's VGC. Even with the Shelgon there. It'll just wall everything.
Yeah, I think overall this team is really cool.
I really want to see what they do with this mouse hold. I really do. They also have Strength Sap on Driftbloom. And Memento. So they could lower their attack by 3. Bring this in. Tidy up 2 or 3 times. Depending on if it's a defensive Terra. And then now you're just... Hey. Loaded dice population bomb. Not missing anything. That's gonna be ridiculous. That, and you've got screens on a lot of things on this team.
Yeah, well, you gotta be careful about doing loaded dice with population bomb, because that doesn't actually do anything.
You want to run Riflines?
Yeah, you need more lens.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, population bomb is an accuracy check on every hit. So it checks the 90% accuracy, but if you run 5 lenses, it's a 99% check. So it checks the accuracy on every population bomb hit. It's not like Icicle Spear, for example. You want to run the loaded dice because that one actually it checks it for the first hit, and then after that it's a percentage chance of doing 3, 4, or 5.
Gotcha.
So with light lens, you hit the 99% on each hit, and so you're like almost guaranteed a 10 hit population bomb. Yeah, pretty cool. And like no other like Pokemon on this team wants to run wide lens, so like that's gonna be great for muscle.
Yeah, they've got a Trick Room mode too, which also is very concerning.
But like Trick Room is not that great in singles, but like it is usable, but it's not like particularly anything that's gonna be like brought every single week. But Trick Room Healing Wish into Iron Hand seems like a very, very not fun thing to deal with.
No, it does not. Alright. And we've got Fusion Power. This is DTN's team.
Okay, I want to talk about this team because this is a very unorthodox way of drafting that, like, I think is actually pretty effective. That you notice that, like, pick 1, DTN actually goes through Slow King, which, like, there's still some extremely good things in the board. There was stuff like the Oscarada, I think Cinderace was still on the board, Great Tusk. There's things like that, but, like, one, like, unorthodox way of, like, drafting is drafting a very, like a tier 2, like, pick 1, so that, like, you kind of just wait to see what is left on the board, so that, like, you're pretty much one pick ahead of everybody else. Because with DTN's team, it's nothing is really amazing on this team. Everything's pretty average, but nothing is really bad on this team. I think everything pulls its weight, but, like, because Soul King was first, it's just not like the most amazing team, but it is a pretty effective draft strategy. Just trying to get just like a very balanced team.
Yeah, I agree. And like the drafting strategy of kind of going for defensive things first and then looking for offensive threats later, I think is fine. They have the nice option of running Slush Rush. It's a tight range of reception from Slow King, which is a nice position to get in. Like a strong sweep for a breaker. Did they? Oh, okay. So I think Volcarona is a really good Terra Captain. I don't know necessarily if it's something that they'd want to consider doing, but I think Volcarona is one of the Pokemon on this team that almost has to come every week because it's their main source of offense.
If they did,
Red and has some pretty good defensive options too, between having some recovery as well. And so, like, I would consider switching the Terra Captains around because Volcarona feels like it's a must-have for this team. It's easily the best Pokemon on the team.
He would
It feels like it needs to come very often to set up and win.
He would have to do Floragato if he did Volcarona.
Or Haunter.
Haunter Terra Captain actually sounds kind of cool. So
yeah.
I like Volcarona Haunter.
This is the team that originally had Hydreigon, Pyroar, and Amoonguss, and he dropped them for Volcarona, Titan, and Lucario. He wanted Iron Jugglies instead, just for the typing alone. And that it hits slightly harder.
Okay, I mean, I can get behind that. I think the Terra Captain of having Volcarona would be kind of nice. But maybe they wanted to have, like, do mid-tier Terra Captains rather than, like, a high and low. And, like, I can respect that opinion as well.
He could have done Lucario and C-Titan still.
No, he couldn't, because C-Titan's a tier 2, and Lucario's also a tier 2.
Oh, that's right.
I actually like Jolteon as a Terra Captain. Like, that one I don't mind as much. Lucario I'm not a huge fan of, just because that mon has crazy coverage already, and, like, its typing is pretty good. I think, but Jolteon being able to add potential ice attacks for dragons and ground types, or being grass type to hit grounds, like, having Jolteon as a Terra Captain, I think is really good, especially with how fast it is and getting Calm Mind this gen to deal tons of damage. Like, I like that as an option.
He sniped so many people of a dog. Pick 2.
Oh, Dash Bomb? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because that Pokemon's awesome.
2 people, 3 people's draft plans
Took it round
changed because a freaking dog was taken. One of which was Shelby's, because she's like, you know what, screw it, I'm just gonna go with the Eevees now. She lost her puppy. She's like, I wanted something that could switch into everything that she was weak to. Nope. Plans changed. I love the Dom fan on this team.
I was DMing DTN and we talked because he's like asking if I had a draft plan. I was like, no, I don't really plan to make drafts because I think it's just kind of a waste of time. If one of my mons gets sniped, and then like before the draft started, he's like, okay, I have 2 months. I absolutely want, I need these mons for my draft plan. I don't care about anything else. I I can work around. If I don't get sulking and dash bung, my whole entire drop ham is not gonna go well. So he really did want sulking and dash bung on pick 1 and pick 2, and he definitely did get it.
It was hilarious. Just the outcry from people, like a instant. We had immediately, well, fuck. The second the dog popped up.
That's like a big legacy draft.
The fact that Volcarona wasn't picked up until Grace baffles me, and I believe Slitherwing went undrafted. Felt odd. But yeah, overall...
Yeah, I would have expected Volcarona to have been picked pretty early on. And like pick 3 for Volcarona makes some sense. So I'm surprised that it was something that was picked up after the fact.
Oh no, what actually happened was, DTN actually dropped, Hydreigon, which he originally got for Volcarona post-draft, and I think he made a lot of transactions because, like, I think he originally wanted Orthorn, but, like, I think that just did not go as planned, so he just, like, scrapped, because you only get free agency transactions, like, for, like, Grace. It was straight away to get Volcarona, I think see Titan.
And Lucario.
Lucario, yep.
I guess that makes sense. Like, I think picking up Volcarona here is really nice. I stand by it being a good tier captain option, but it may just not work in the points for what he wants to do.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have... This is Scarlet Arai. And she did this logo by hand.
I'm a big fan.
Garganacki's Pizzeria.
The fact that she got Garganackle pick 1 was just amazing. And then she follows it up.
It's a tier 2 mon.
She follows it up with Quackavolt, which is interesting. The first 3 is amazing on this team as a core.
I know she got sniped of Hydreigon, but I was like, hey, you gotta pick Hydreigon after the draft, after DTN dropped. It's like, nah, I'm okay with Iron Treads, which I think is very justifiable.
That thing's been a menace. Like, the 2 people that haven't in, like, BBR, for example, have been just blowing people back with it. I think Matt O'Shea just lost to a Scarf-heavy slam Iron Treads, because he literally had no answer for it. The thing just hits hard. And the fact that this thing gets Volt Switch, you got U-Turn on Quackavolt, you got U-Turn on Masquerain, Noivern, and I believe Hypno gets it now too. But you also have Volt Switch on Ampharos. You've got a Wish Pasture, you've got Grassy Terrain to nerf the EQ for both Garganackle and Iron Treads is amazing.
Yes and no on the Grassy Terrain, because of the ground typing for Iron Treads, you kind of want to be able to EQ yourself, so it's something that you'll need to be aware of. And
it gets high horsepower though.
Set up, it doesn't have high horsepower.
It doesn't?
It has something to best next to best ground move.
Okay.
Which is significantly weaker than EQ. But I mean, she's in control of Grassy Terrain, right? She can choose when she wants to set it up or not. But it is something that I think she needs to be a little aware of in terms of how she builds her teams. But I don't think it's necessarily a problem.
I do want to propose a change for Terra Captains though, because if you notice something about this team is it does not have a fire type. And Arboliva I think is a decent Terra Captain. It's definitely not amazing. I think a better Terra Captain, I believe, it would 100% be Forges, because it's a lot like Sylveon. It's like I'm pretty sure it does not have any fire coverage. And of course, Forges is not going to be a mod that you want to bring every single week, but I think it does pair fantastic with Garganacl. So I think like just having Forges instead of Garganacl, I mean Forges instead of Arboliva as a Terra Captain could be better for a team than just having Arboliva.
She wanted to do Noivern, but it was too high of a point value.
Like Noivern plus Garganacl.
Yeah, but they kind of rushed draft, and I didn't move 6 things, so unfortunately Noivern didn't drop a tier. And yeah.
And Noivern was supposed to be tier 3.
And it ended up being tier 2 because I said, screw it. Here we go. We're just going to go what we got. People said, that's fine. All right. But one thing I do love this gen that a good, really good buff is Spiritomb got Trick Room finally. Granted, this is singles, but the fact that they finally gave this mon Trick Room is amazing. And
yeah, it did lose a lot though. It gained Trick Room, but it lost Poltergeist, it lost Toxic. Yeah, I know I didn't use Toxic a lot, but like it was a good option. It lost all of its defensive tools, it lost Poltergeist, so now it's forced to pretty much run special. So like, yeah, Trick Room is there, but like I think the negatives outweigh the positives.
I'm really curious on what this team is going to do. I don't see it running webs every week. You could just have Masquerain there just for Intimidate alone, which is just fine and as well, because it still does hit pretty decently after one Quiver Dance.
Does Masquerain get Defog?
No. It lost it.
Hazard removal options are still really good though. Iron Treads plus Noivern is pretty much going to get hazards out pretty much most of the time.
Yeah, true. They also technically have rapid spin on Quackball.
Oh, true.
They have the most hazard removal out of all the teams so far. They have 3 of them, which isn't bad. I don't want to deal with Mr. Salt Cure Boy over here. Also, this team has one other good thing going on for it. Well, thanks to Amo for this. Quackable gets, for some reason, gets Misty Terrain.
Yeah, I saw that video, Matt.
I'm just gonna make it to where you can't status me. Okay. Cool. You want to have an answer for Dodonzo so we can't rest sleep talk? Okay, Misty Terrain Quackable. What? Hold on, what? But yeah, this team's gonna be a lot of fun. Like, a real lot of fun. And now we have Mr. Marsetto, aka Doc Doc's team. Yes, we convinced him to play Wi-Fi.
Oh, how exciting.
Yeah. But do you see the first 3 Pokemon?
Yeah, pretty sweet options.
This man said he's just going to U-turn spam. Scarf on one and Band on the other.
All he needs is Greninja.
Yeah, there's a couple of Volt Switchers on
some nice defensive ones as well.
And I love how he has discount Flutter main. Discount Flutter main. I'm just gonna turn this into a fairy type. Hold on real quick.
Is pretty cool.
It's literally got almost the same coverage as Flutter main, just not as fast. But basically just same defenses wise. But I do like that he has court change option, and he has 2 things with rapid spin. And not very many things want to switch into freeze dry from Cryogonal this gen.
I will say this: I do not see an amazing tier captain of his team. Like, I think everything is fast, but nothing is really strong. I wouldn't say everything is fast, but like, you have Cinderace, Meowscarada, Killwatcher, Mismagius, Cryogonal as your offensive threats. But at the same time, they're fast mons, but like, they have like an average of like 110 attack / special attack, which is not exactly the most ideal thing ever. So like, I think that this team, it's definitely not like bulky, but like, it's gonna have a lot of trouble like just dishing out the big hits like Cinderace and Meowscarada.
I'm surprised he did Fortress as a Terra Captain. Like, what is it gonna do?
Terra Water Fortress even need just defensive Terra. There's a really good offensive Terra of Mismagius and then a good defensive Terra of Fortress.
Yeah, sure, he can hazard stack more, but he's gonna be less bulky than his initial typing unless he just wants to counter a fire type.
I think that's probably what it's meant for. I think most of the time, Mismagius is gonna get Terra. I think Fortress is just kind of like a good niche option to get up those rocks and get up those spikes. Just get above the hazard turn once and just be a defensive mon that like resist fire for the rest of the game.
This team intrigues me. Like a lot. Mainly the Wigglytuff. I want to see what it's gonna do. Little thing hits harder than people think it does. But yeah, this is going to be annoying to deal with though. It's going to be a wear down game.
It does have quite a few like really bulky options, but it's not the I gotta think of them as the premier bulky options. So it'll be. I think it might be a little hard to find it and figure out exactly how you use all the mons each week.
I agree. None of the mons seem to kind of like, nothing really seems to be synergized with each other. Like the most synergy I could find is the Quadsire and the Fortress, which isn't even that much synergy because it's like you want your like first 2 mons to be like extremely good together, but like Meowscarada and Cinderace I think are just being a little bit too underwhelming because they're 2 of the mons that just do the same thing. They're both fast mons that have protein, they have U-turn, and they have their like signature moves. I anticipate them to do some damage, but like I just don't anticipate them to be like worthy of like the first 2 picks. I think something like Cinderace and like there's like mons like what am I thinking of? There's like stuff like Volcarona, not Volcarona, but like there's like other mons that would be better than Meowscarada. I think Meowscarada is a really good mon, but for this team, I just don't think it's that amazing.
I give you that. I think like Ace plus Meowscarada are probably very similar.
From experience, Meowscarada is incredibly hard to pilot. Like, even with the protein. Like, great, you got Flower Trick, but you have, like, what do you live if you run into a scarf? You have like one scarf U-turn mon and you're gone. That's the one main problem I had when I was using it for a little bit, is I would just die if something outsped me. There's always that surprise factor with that mon's defenses. Like, Cinderace is slightly more bulkier and can take a hit, but that ×4 weakness is a red flag on Meowscarada. It's still really good, though. Don't get me wrong. Just gotta be very careful with it.
Let's move on to my favorite team now. I've been eager to talk about this team. Frickin' Trolling Master has, in his 305 boomers, has like they have Shed-Tail, Cyclozar, but like
Excuse me, sir, that's 305 Zoomers according to the Zoc.
If I was 305 boomers, it looks like 305 boomers.
I know, but on the dock we have it as Zoomers.
But like, this team, in my opinion, it seems extremely underwhelming. You pick one Cyclozar, and then everything else is like, okay, Iron Thorns, I can see. I definitely see Iron Thorns, because it's a tier 2 mon, but then your second tier 1 mon is a Grimmsnarl. It's like, there's Volcarona right there, and Volcarona would have been amazing on this team, but instead Grimmsnarl is a pick, and this team seems a lot with setup, but when you play Cyclozar, you kind of want a very hyper offensive team. You want stuff like Volcarona, you want stuff like Fluttermane. Obviously Fluttermane's not allowed, but you just want like super offensive mons. But you just want Cyclozar, and that's pretty much it. But like, I'm seeing stuff like Breloom and Grimmsnarl and Quillfish and stuff like that like, they're good mons. They're good mons to help you set up. But when you have Cyclozar, not exactly needed a ton because you're already needed by a substitute. So like, this team could work, but like, I'm pretty hesitant about it.
And he had the points to make Iron Thorn and Cloyster a captain, and he didn't.
Yeah, he made Iron Thorns and Camerupt. I think one thing that he should do is just make Iron Thorns plus Cloyster. I could kind of see what Camerupt does, but like, Cloyster just does whatever Camerupt wants to do, but better.
Terra Cloyster behind the Shed-Tail is just... Oh, that sounds annoying.
Yeah.
Like I have Cloyster and TGR singles, and I use a defensive Terra, and then get like tank a hit, and then just freely Shell Smash, or sometimes get 2 Shell Smashes off and still take the second hit, and then just proceed from there. And it's just like, you're giving a buff to your SpDef stat by changing your typing, and you don't want to take it. Like, Terra Dragon on this thing. Okay, Thunderbolt doesn't kill you anymore. That is an incredibly free Shell Smash. And they walk into it. Same thing with like Terra but Sharp, they'll walk into that. Breloom gets walked into because you can just change its typing. I've seen Terra Rock Breloom with Rock Tomb, and it just utterly destroys things because of the Technician boost.
Yeah, I think this team has some offense. I think I'll disagree a little bit with Red here on the idea that it has to be hyper offensive with Cyclozar. Just because, like, in draft, I think you want to be able to have different options available. And so there are some good setup threats to have alongside Shed-Tail. Okay, hold on, let me back up. I 100% agree on the idea that we should have Volcarona. I don't know why there's a Grimmsnarl right here. Like, let's get Volcarona with Iron Thorns here. Get one of those behind us sub and either Dragon Dance with Iron Thorns or Quiver Dance with Volcarona, this team would have been miles better, I think.
He could
And I'm a
have.
huge Grimmsnarl fan.
He could have done Volcarona and Morgrim. And gotten the same thing.
That would have been a cool combo. Because then you still get the prankster screens or parting shot. You just don't get as much offensive potential as Grimmsnarl has. But yeah, that would have been kind of cool. But I think aside from that, like there are some good. It's good to have a mix of defensive and offensive options, just because Draft League is so unpredictable about what matchup you're going to get. You aren't always going to be able to run hyper offense, or even just like stall or defensive ones. So it's good to have a mixture of both.
The thing that bothers me about this team is, where's your Spadef wall?
True.
You have light screen from Grimmsnarl, you can take anything.
Oh yeah, but like, it's like one of those things that like, it's. I guess he has Shed Tail, but like, this team, it has the pieces to like, be like extremely good. Like, something I would probably suggest to Troy Masters. I know this is extremely high for Sparfa. Our Sparfa is tier 1. If you trade Grimmsnarl for a Sparfa, and make a couple more trades, this team could go from okay to like really good. It make like a Sparfa plus like Camerupt your Terra Captain instead of Iron Forms plus Camerupt. I think just a couple trades could make this team from okay to like really good.
And from pick 5 onwards were the few nights in a row he was drunk, and I kind of see it. Like his one removal is Cyclizar. This is gonna be if this team works, it's gonna be so annoying. But bravo, if he can get everything he wants to done with this. We've seen him draft like really weird, and he did okay with it. This might be another instance of that. Still think he should switch the camera off.
Yeah. Okay.
Alright. And now we have your team.
Yeah, this team is, I would want to say, this is probably one of the best teams I've ever drafted before, because I think I just have so many options. Because I think every single month, nothing is really bad. And the fact I got like Shadow Tag off until round 10 definitely makes this team a lot better. I think getting Great Tusk plus Iron Moth is really good for this team, because it's such a good offensive pairing. And Salamence is tier 2, the same tier as Noivern, and I got it round 3, and then it's also my Terra Captain, so I can run my Terra Fire, Terra Seal, Terra Flying, Terra Dragon, Terra Fairy, Salamence, and just kind of get away with it. And I was actually talking about this in TGR a little bit, about like, what I want my Terra Captain. Do I make a Gastrodon, or do I want to make a Mimikyu? And then people were telling me to do it Mimikyu, so I was like, okay, Mimikyu is cool, I'm just gonna do Mimikyu. And then having Zoroark just kind of fight for those mind games is just really good. Then I think my round 6 to round 10 pieces for just kind of like defensive pieces are kind of like more boring pieces. But I really like Gastrodon on this team because even though I do have a ground type of Great Tusk, it does cover Great Tusk a little. It does cover Great Tusk really good because it's just blast with water type hits. So overall, I'm really happy with this team. Even though Gothitelle did lose Cosmic Power, I just still think it's a really good and really justifiable for me to pick it overall. So I'm really happy with this team.
9 out of 10 get Sunny Day.
Oh wait, actually?
The only one that did is Gastrodon.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah. And I also have Iron Moth and TGR, and I've been impressed with it in like some ways, but like overall, I think in like a 66 league, I could use it a little bit better, because with like a 4v4 league, it's good, but like I just don't have a pieces to support it. But I think in this league, I think it could definitely shine a little bit more.
That and Mimikyu, like if I would have to do top 5 for Terra Captains, in my opinion, this gen that aren't any of the ruins, Terrifier or Mimikyu, like, what is the switching? Like, steel types crumble, you no longer have to rely on Drain Punch. Ghost types and poison types get overwhelmed by its initial coverage. You can also go Terra Ground and kill, like, Gengar, steel types again. Mimikyu just has the tools it needs to just absolutely plaster teams. That and Sword Stance plus Terra Blast Fairy, you don't have to worry about missing like you did in Gen 8. That's insane. And all it is just a 10 base power drawback. But even then, it doesn't matter with Mimikyu's attack stat.
Yeah, I think a lot of things that I would say about this team have already been said. I think this team is going to be difficult to prep for, because there's just a lot of really strong options between physical or special, and then having to deal with Sword Art fun games is frustrating. Not to mention having Shadow Tag along with that. So there's some pretty scary options on this team, and it doesn't feel like there's a weak one. Maybe the only one that I'm not sure about is Persian, but I just don't know enough about it in singles.
Like
Zoro, I think I got some good options this gen, but I could be wrong about that.
Zoroark.
Oh, I love
like,
it.
I just kind of, I was like looking for a good tier 5. I was like, my fastest mon is 110. I don't really like that. I just picked up Persian. I don't even know what it does.
Find out this set. Find out this season, you know.
Technician Fake Out is just nuts.
Yeah, I know it got some new stuff for EGC, but I don't know what it got for.
It's shedding water.
The problem, like, Zoroark fits so well in this team because, say, you can bluff it as Great Tusk in the sun. Well, Zoroark gets Flamethrower. It's gonna obliterate any grass type that's gonna wanna like come in and click Grass Knot on Great Tusk. This also can kill the psychic types that want to come in and kill Iron Moth. This murders definitely murders Gengar that wants to come in and kill Mimikyu. You can disguise it as Gastrodon, and you can just blow back the grass type that comes in again like you did with Great Tusk. And then you have access to knock off Sucker Punch. Night Days is still in the game. Grass Knot, Dark Pulse, even gets Shadow Ball, gets Shadow Claw. It didn't lose a whole lot. And it gained a few additional buffs as well. I believe it gets screens now. Which I don't know why it needs screens. But the fact that you don't know it gets Nasty Plot and you do not know it's not Gothitelle until it's too late. And the only way you'll know is if you're able to switch out, but even then you still don't know because you're not always going to be Shadow Tag on Gothitelle. You could bluff it and just perfectly pull off the Zoroark. That and its speed tier is amazing, and both of its offenses are really good. And Gastrodon isn't going to ever need more than 8 recovers. It didn't even need that many most of the time in Sword and Shield, so it's not like the nerf really hurt it.
Something I will say about this team, I'm kind of a little bit worried about, is like, I don't have too many defensive walls, but like at the same time, I feel like in a lot of situations, I'm the type of player that like, I eventually get off a sweep, but it takes a lot of setup for me to get that sweep off. So like, and I think this team 100% fits that play style. So like, I think part of the thing I'm gonna have to work out for the whole entire season is trying to figure out that like, how to kind of get those sweeps. Because the thing with the meta at this point, yeah, the 20 minutes timer does suck, but at the same time, it's kind of like a whole different meta that like, it's terrible, but like, it's still like, you still have to kind of play like a regular meta. It's like, you kind of have to adapt, and you kind of have to like, play with meta. So like, how do I explain this? So like, I'm gonna have to play super hyper offensive Gothitelle. I'm gonna probably have to play hyper offensive all my mods, even Gastrodon. So like, I think there can be some games that might go to timer, but I think overall that like, this team is offensive enough not to go to timer in every single game.
Oh yeah, for sure. I don't think I was in this selection. Because you have so many end-game sweepers. Like the first 4 months are more capable of ending the game quickly. So you can kind of like look for your opportunity, and then one of those 4 top mods there are going to be able to clean up.
We also forgot to mention that you also have Magnet Pull and Analytic in the Magneton there. It forces a switch out. Something's going to take a heavy hit.
I'm coming for your Corviknight.
I mean, that's fine. And I believe we've got one more. And that is,
We'll have a last team.
Charizard King. I have mixed feelings about this team.
Me too. It's extremely interesting. The thing I'm definitely gonna like be interested in is like, it's a moderately bulky team, but like, it doesn't swap into specific typings that well. For example, like, you have Rotom Wash and you have Haxorus, 4 of those water types, but like, besides that, nothing really wants to take a water type hit, which like, most water types are defensive, but like, there's still stuff like Palafin that like, Palafin definitely does go really, really hard against this team. Like, just pivoting with like Flip Turn, like, a choice band Palafin with like, Jet Punch, Flip Turn, Wave Crash, Ice Punch. There's no swapping. Even with like Rotom Wash, it's just eventually gonna get chipped and it's just eventually gonna die. So, I think this team is good, but like, it just has a couple glaring weaknesses.
I think it would have been more interesting to see the Reverum as a captain.
Originally, he actually had Reverum plus Haxorus as his captains, but he changed it last minute to Skeledirge plus Dracula.
What is
I don't hate that change, because I think that Skeledirge is an amazing terror captain, so I think that's probably fine. And like the Palafin problem can be dealt with by like a water type Skeledirge.
Yeah.
And that mod would be able to take the stuff that you're kind of talking about pretty easily. Yeah, I don't know. I think this team is actually pretty cool. There's some really strong threats. There's both physical and special attacking. There's some fairly solid defensive mods. The team feels very balanced. Like there's nothing that like stands out as this Pokemon is going to win me the game. So I think there's going to be some games where Haxorus wins out through like a Dragon Dance set. There's going to be some games where like an opponent isn't able to break through Skeledirge and it just gets off to me Torch Songs. There might be a game where like Nasty Clock Rotom takes over.
So there's a handful of like Hatterene with Trick Room and like a Calm Mindset potentially. So I think there's quite a different ways that this team can win, and it's supported by webs, which is nice. So like you don't necessarily have to get off some of those like set of threats or set of options with at least the spin boosting ones like Dragon Lance or here Trick Room. So I don't know. I think the team is pretty cool. I think it has some good options. It's got some good like mixture of options. Yeah, so I think I'm a fan. I think it has some good stuff going on.
It feels a lot like DTN's team. Nothing really stands out, but like nothing is bad. It's like Skeletor just not really an amazing pick one, but it does work. And like there's nothing like I would be like, okay, this mod is amazing, this mod is like the center of the team. Everything is just kind of like the same. And then like I feel like I'm not sure. I do feel like this team is not bad, but it's not like amazing compared to something like Angar Heracross's team or like Sergio's team or teams like that. But I do think it's decent.
I agree. I don't think I would rate it as like number one. It would feel like kind of a middle of the pack, but there's no mon that feels like it's a big weakness on this team. But there's also no mon that like super stands out, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you count the Spide Ups.
To be honest, Spide Ups
Even
have been the
then,
terror
like
packing.
you have to be able to deal with webs and you have to be able to deal with like
Webs.
I think it has a handful of other options too.
Webs make Rotom and Haxorus and Crocodile incredibly annoying.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, some of those like mid-tier threats that, like, if they were faster, would be a nightmare to deal with. Like the ones that you just mentioned, are get so much better with webs. So
I just wish Revroom
it's a
got
nice option to have for the team.
a little bit more coverage. Like this thing with one shift gear hits like a truck, but I wish it had like a ground move or electric move to go with it, so it can get rid of the things that usually gets walled by.
Mm-hmm.
It just
Yeah, it's too bad they weren't able to make like if they had Skeledirge and Revroom as terror captains, that would be awesome. But I think it's more likely that Skeledirge comes to like every game, whereas Revroom might not. And so I could see the mindset of like not wanting to waste a terror captain per se, and then you just always have your terror captain option with Skeledirge.
this Toad Squirrel is gonna be annoying. That mon's well placed, and like you bring it in, and you know they gotta switch out. That Spore's just free, and it's annoying. But yeah, I believe that's all of them.
I just want to point out, very hate Toad Squirrel. Toad Squirrel is a bad mod because it lost me week 1 of a TGR because Sleep Clause sucks.
So does reading. It's okay. We had people break item clause and all kinds of stuff. So it's like, yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
But
Sleep Clause is fair, bro. I deserve teams. Yeah, I think that's all the teams.
that's all of them.
Is there any teams that kind of like stick out to you as the best, or are they all just kind of like, or is it just kind of a blur tonight? For me, at
there's
least.
so many teams to look over. I don't remember all of them off the top of my head. I remember Gengar Heracross's team I thought looked good. Your team, Brett, I thought looked pretty good.
Really like
Those are probably the two that
Sergio's.
stand out as like I think being really strong. There may be one I'm missing.
Palafin and Pelipper, Sergio's team.
Oh yeah, the Palafin team I thought looked. Can we go back and see that one? I forget exactly what else was on that team. I remember they had like double weather, right?
Yeah, they had a bomb snow plus Paladin.
Oh, I went too far. The dual weather.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This team I really like their Terra Captain options, and that's That's right. I talked a lot about Tinkaton. Yeah, I think this team is kind of cool too. But their low tiers are like kind of so-so. Whereas I think some of the other teams that we looked at, like their low tiers, I was impressed with. Whereas this one, I'm like, meh. Although it's actually kind of just the Croc Rock. The rest of the team, I think, is great. So, yeah, maybe it's fine.
I think they could have ditched Weather, ditched Hail a little bit, but there wasn't much left of it more, so I can't really say it's not the best.
For sure. And, like, you want to make sure you have a grass type, right? So, like,
Especially in a rain team.
He could have gotten Beartic.
To break through opposing waters.
He could have gotten Beartic instead of Rotom Frost.
Oh, no, he could have also, Abomasnow is in the same tier as Bear Scooter. I know I was just talking about, like, how I don't like having both, Palafin and another Rain Sweeper on the team, but, like, I think in this case, there is a, kind of a justifiable reason to add, something strong like Bear Scooter on this team. Because even though I'm pretty sure Div is flip turn, but, like, it's still pretty good.
Well, the reason why I like Beartic better is it gets Swift Swim and Slush Rust.
True. Oh, that's very true, yeah. And it's tier 4, so like then you'd be losing your electric type in Rotom.
Yeah, and you need the way to be able to hit the opposing waters, because that helps to break the game open for Palafin.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, anyway, there were a couple of teams. So this one, the Gengar Heracross team, and Vancouver Hattennas. I like those 3 teams. Those ones at least stand out. So, yeah, but quite a few teams. There's a lot of strong options here. And, like, there may be a team that I remember talking up earlier, and, like, I just don't remember them now. Just because there's so many teams to talk through.
Oh, yeah. But this has been pretty fun.
Yeah.
I thank you guys for joining me for this.
Of course.
Yeah, thank you, Patmac.
Few of the teams was rather pleasant to get your reaction from. You were like stumped on some of them. None of us.
Where I wasn't quite sure what was going on, but that's just draft sometimes. Like sometimes people have a plan and you aren't able to figure it out right away.
Yeah. But anyways, we should wrap it up here. Best of luck to everybody this season in CPL, and look forward to seeing the results of the battle, and to any of the people uploading the videos, I look forward to watching them. Patmac, you have a good night. Brad, you have a good night. And
Bye, everybody.
bye.
Bye, everybody.